The military community has embraced me. The fact that I'm blunt, the fact that I don't dance around, the fact that I say the truth as I see it, they relate to that. And they've tested me time and time again and know that myself and my team are legit. We care. Like, we're going to make a difference in the VA space, and I'm not retiring until we do.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zeb Lowe. I'm the Senior Director of the Content Studio here at HousingWire at the Final Offer podcast booth at The Gathering. And today I am joined with LO extraordinaire, Jennifer Beeston. Jennifer, thank you for joining me. When did you wrap up your session? When was that?
When? Like a couple hours ago?
It was a couple hours ago? I've been recording all day, so I didn't get a chance to sit in on it.
It was a couple hours ago. Yeah, I got a little spicy.
Did you?
I did. I challenged the whole room.
That is in keeping with
Brand.
Most of my interactions with you. So for those of you that don't know, Jennifer has been a contributor with us for, you didn't contribite before I reached out, right?
You reached out, Zeb. You made it happen.
Yeah, actually, there was a piece that went out that I think that there was an initial miscommunication on the delivery that you got the article, but you scoured it, and then that made us want to reach out and ask you to write for us.
Oh, yeah, that was a funny way we met, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so you did a session with us. I wanted to talk to you, but you've got some other activities that you're participating in, which I found quite interesting. Previously, you're going falconing, right?
Yeah. So my son and a couple people from Guaranteed Rate, we're going to be playing with birds of prey very shortly. So I've dressed, I had to change, and I've dressed appropriately for my birds of prey session, as one does.
I don't know a ton about it, but that looks like the kind of outfit that someone going falconing.
I mean, I work with real estate agents, so, same deal.
All right, so as long as we've been communicating, kind of working together, I have wanted to ask you how you got into the VA space specifically, kind of carved out a niche with VA loans. Can you kind of walk me through that?
Yeah, so I didn't start out in VA. So I've been a lender for 18 years, and I was predominantly a local lender in Sonoma County, California. There's not a lot of veteran business there. I would always do like maybe $1 million, $2 million. And then about 6 to 7 years ago, I had a client, and I quoted them, and then they showed me what another lender quoted them. And I was like, is this an old quote? No, we just got it today. It was 1% higher. There was $6,000 higher in fees. And I was like, what is going on? Because as a conventional lender, you don't see spreads like that. Right. That's not normal, And at the time, Northern California, I'm dealing with some jumbo loans. Like, it's a fierce competition. So I saw this and I was like, what's going on here? And, my dad's former Navy, but it's never been something we've really talked about. I talked to him about it. I started digging with the industry, talking to people at Guaranteed Rate, what is going on? And I started learning about how there's lenders that step on VA pricing in order to make up for the discounts that they give jumbo loans or conventional. They're making veterans pay more than they should so that rich people get discounts.
Right.
I didn't like that. So I was already doing YouTube at that time. And, my YouTube journey has been very much what happens and what I think needs to change. So I started talking about it. I started doing VA Wednesday. Every single Wednesday, I would teach about VA. And it started off just being outraged about the pricing and wanting to make a change there because veterans are known to not shop. And the industry takes advantage of them because of that. So my theory was, if I raise my voice, at some point this will stop. But then it's like a rabbit hole, Zeb. Right. You can't escape it. Then I'm like, oh my God, there's so many misconceptions about VA loans. There was stuff I didn't even know. So I just, every single Wednesday, educated. Now I have nostressva.com. It's a free course. It's for veterans, their spouses, real estate agents, mortgage lenders, anyone who wants to learn about VA. The blueprint's there.
Yeah.
And the military community has embraced me. The fact that I'm blunt, the fact that I don't dance around, the fact that I say the truth as I see it, they relate to that. And they've tested me time and time again and know that myself and my team are legit. We care. Like, we're going to make a difference in the VA space, and I'm not retiring until we do.
So what do you, for LOs out there, what not the biggest misconception, but sweeping aside those with malicious intent, right? LOs that are that they want to serve veterans and they want to originate VA loans, well, what is the most important bit of information that you could share with them? What bit of guidance could you share with them? I
think that, like, here's the thing. My dad was in the Navy, but it was limited. Like, I was born after that. I didn't go on my first base until 3 days ago.
Really?
I've never been on base. I went on base. We went on base here in Colorado Springs, and it was really interesting to me. And I think there's this big misconception with VA loans that you need to be a veteran, or you need to understand the military, or you have to know how they speak. No, they're just people trying to buy a house. There's no riddle to it, and it's not a hard loan. You just need to learn your guidelines. That's it. And if you're going into it going, oh, well, if I do VA, I can make more because I can charge more, just leave, because I'm going to take you out.
Right.
You love how embracing I am.
Yes, very much so. Well, that's, yeah.
If you have good intent, come on in. I'll go check out the course. It will teach you what you need to know, and take care of veterans, please. Okay,
so you added that to your YouTube channel, but you had a YouTube presence before that. How long have you been doing your YouTube channel?
Probably about 7 years now. So VA Wednesday was probably within the first 2 years, and like we covered in my session, but I didn't get any calls from YouTube for the first 3 years. But there is an audience that's hungry for education. And if you can give good education, I think you'll always do fine.
Right. What led you to start your YouTube channel?
Such a multitude of factors, but literally my son was like, you should be on YouTube. He was, I don't know, probably 10 or 12 at the time, 12. And he was watching a lot of YouTube. He was learning how to get into shape from YouTube. So I definitely saw the value. And at the same time, I was sick of real estate agents asking me for money. It's like, you do a great job, you close in 10 days, you have a 30-day close, but you close in 9 days. And they're like, oh, but they still want money for Zillow or money for their marketing. Yeah. And I was like, what if I just invest my money in myself and my clients? And that's where we went.
When you said that you didn't want to share your money with realtors, what was it exactly that you said? Wouldn't share your money. You didn't want to give your money to realtors.
I didn't want them to shake me down.
Yeah,
pick my pocket, rob me blind. Which one?
So one of the most interesting and well-received articles that you wrote, actually, I had to ask you to write a follow-up for it, which was just say no, or how to say no to realtors, because I think most loan originators, I certainly was conditioned whenever I got into the industry, is that there's a couple different routes to building a referral relationship with realtors. None of them are beneficial really for the LO until way down the line. But even at that inception of creating that relationship, it's still kind of very much a one-way street. And so one, you can find a realtor that is relatively new themselves, and then you educate them, and they rely on you for basically in many regards, for their half of the job.
And look, they'll leave you if some lender comes along and says they'll pay $2,000 for Zillow.
Sure. And then the other is finding an established realtor, and then they just give you, pardon my language, just the shit loans. Yeah. Right. And then, but you're at their every beck and call, and even the realtors that you bring up, right, or that you start when they're new into the industry, like you said, they'll still leave you, and there's always that fear that they will leave you if you say no, right, or if you don't return a call fast enough, or if you displease them. And so your article was like, basically how to say no to realtors and put yourself in at least in a position of like 50-50 equity in a relationship.
I think our industry's confused as to who the client is. And I've seen it get worse over the last 18 years. LOs coming into the business now are taught real estate agents are your clients. No, they're not. The people getting the loan are your clients. And if you want to have a good long-term business, look, be nice to real estate agents. If you meet one that's really good at their job, embrace them, help them as much as you can. Don't go into debt doing it, but encourage them. But you can go get clients just as easily as they can. And that's the big disconnect is it's like, look, I've met a lot of LOs. We're not all hobgoblins that need to be hidden from the public. Like if a real estate agent is going to networking events in the community or, however the real estate agent's getting their business, you do that. And then you get the leads and you can determine what real estate agent it goes to. Just don't be a scumbag and try to pick the realtor's pocket.
Where in your, journey as a loan originator did you make that decision? I mean, did you go in? Because that's just not advice. I mean, obviously it's worked out fantastically for you, but that is not advice or guidance that is normally given to a loan originator when they're getting into the industry.
No, I mean, look, when you start out, let's see here. I started out in end of 2007. Okay. So I grew up in the foreclosure days. My business was built on going to those foreclosure houses, saying if they'd be financeable, giving value. In terms of paying for real estate agent stuff, I was never into that. I had one real estate agent that was my biggest agent. And we grew up together in the business. Like we had done everything together. And then at some point he came to me and he's like, Jen, I need you to pay this to still work with me. And I had this moment where I'm like, bro, I close all of your deals really fast, but you want me to pay to work with you? The only way I can do that is if I increase my rates. They're my client, not going to do it. So I think loan officers, instead of just develop your own business. Stop counting on realtors to go get the business. Go get it yourself. You have the same power. It's easier to get a client than it is to get a real estate agent. I strongly believe that. And look, an established real estate agent, if I was one, would I want to work with a brand new loan officer? Oh my God, no.
Right.
No way. So that's not super realistic. And then it's like you've got the new agents, but you're both learning at the same time. Learn your stuff, go for the clients direct. That is the future. The future, we'll see what happens with Zillow and Rocket, and it'll be interesting to see how Compass and everybody fights back.
Well, this actually leads to two paths, really. And I know we got limited time, so I'm trying to figure out which one to go down. But let's, when you said, build a business and go to your clients or customers directly.
Yeah.
So that is all dependent upon you being authentic, you being genuine, because you're developing real relationships, right?
Yeah.
And especially in this context, it's like a lifelong relationship because you can go back for a refinance or for a multitude of reasons. So how do you now getting into the industry or even LOs that have not adopted like the social media influencer type are being pushed into that, right? You've got a bit of a legacy. You've been online for YouTube presence and you've built out consumer education beyond just mortgages, right? So, but you and I have had conversations where, kind of pushing against the idea for a new LO or people that aren't maybe built for a social media presence or built for a YouTube. Not everybody has to have one of those. So how do you recommend people kind of navigate? It could be new LOs or LOs that have been in the game for a while, but there is a new wave coming, right? There's the modern loan originator. Yeah. How do they bridge this? Like, I need to be authentic and be genuine, go get new business, but then the push for this social media influencer type box that not everybody is made for.
Can we just be honest about social media?
Please, yeah.
Here's the thing. There's a lot of people on social media where they get a lot of views and they get a lot of followers, but you look at their numbers and they're not converting. Social media is not the holy grail, okay? The way that I've built my business, I convert, but that's because before I even started social media, I was a $50 to $70 million producer. I knew what I was doing and I knew what I was talking about. The problem right now is these baby LOs are getting on social. They're talking about stuff they don't know. If they start getting an influx of calls, I've had people say, oh, I reached out to XYZ. They never called me back. They didn't know this. They didn't know that. I would say, learn your guides and find your people. So you and I were talking the other day about Matt Weaver, right? Totally different business model than mine. He's in person, he's doing lectures. I think that for new loan officers, I think it's valuable to find someone who's established in the field. Like, look, Shant does business different than I do, different than Matt does.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing well. Ben Cohen does business different than everybody else. So figure out who the person you're most like and look at what their business is. Everybody's pretty darn transparent these days, I think.
What made you decide to start branching out from just mortgage specific education to consumer financial advice at large?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
So look, I came out of college with no financial education, and I've covered that before. The reason I'm so passionate about what I do is because I ended up house poor, and then when I became a lender, I was like, why doesn't everybody know this? And you look at people's debt loads and their bank statements and their pay stubs, and you do it for so long, you start to notice patterns, right? And I wrote Brain Hacked, which is my book about how big tech is training people to spend, because as an early social media adapter, I watched it. So I started moving more into finance as well, because look, mortgage lenders, I don't even know how this hasn't happened more before, but we have a front seat to America's finances. Our whole job is talking about how they spend money, what the thinking is behind it, and our job is to help them alter it so they can reach their goals. So it was just a natural progression based on the amount of data, conversations, everything I've seen. I don't know a job that's more in the weeds with Americans' day-to-day finances.
Right. Yeah, I used to, but I haven't originated in many years, but I used to say that if give me someone's credit report, give me 5 minutes with someone's credit report, and I can tell you who they are. I know that person because you can tell everything through their spending habits, what they choose, their late payments, their loans, and that you can identify people in, several different categories, types of people, and just through their credit report, if you've read enough of them.
And look, I don't judge. As I covered before, I was that financial mess. So it's my team and I, the way we have everything structured, one of the heartbreaking things is if we have a decline, we always call. We go through what's a plan. Hey, this is what we think you can do. And 9 out of 10 times they say, you're the only one that called me back. And they applied with 10 lenders. How are we in that world? And you know what the messed up part is? A couple of those, once you talk to them and you get through everything, they're not declines. But we're just in this culture, especially as we move more towards AI, we move more towards mortgage companies pushing tech.
Yeah.
Who's reviewing these apps? Because sometimes you need that human touch to go, oh, you filled it out like this. That's not right. Let me fix that box.
Right.
So
what do you think is being, I was just thinking about that, with automation and speed, efficiency, and what could be lost looking at a credit score and not going through the credit report. And then just a phone call of you're not even doing credit repair, but hey, if you just do this, fix a couple of these things, and then I'll give you a call back in a couple of months. I would feel like that's, again, because I'm not doing it anymore, but it seems like that's being lost to a certain extent.
That's a good chunk of my
or
business.
It's inevitably going to be lost. What do you think is the most important factor in the relationship between a loan originator and their client that is in danger of becoming extinct with this push for AI, automation, efficiency?
I think that we're going to see more and more lenders try to move into a transactional relationship. And I think that the ones that do will ultimately perish unless the whole industry goes that route. People want guidance. People need guidance. It's just so heartbreaking. That's the thing is that, and look, there's loan officers like that too, where they're like, oh, they're not ready now. I'm not going to call them back. Yeah. Okay, they shouldn't be in the industry either. But I do worry a lot about, with systems, what is being declined or not focused on that could be an approval pretty short. And look, I do a lot of VA manual underwrites too. A bad credit score isn't necessarily a bad credit history.
Right.
So I think that any smart LO, boots on the ground is going to be important for the next 5 to 10 years. I think helping your clients and caring about your clients is important. And I think you need to build your business just as a real estate agent would do they can do it just as well. They just
Right.
have to invest in themselves.
And I got one last question
Yeah.
for you. Where do you see, because if it wasn't for your online presence and all the media that you do, your
Yeah.
social media presence, YouTube channel, like the way that you speak could come across as kind of like a stodgy old timer that doesn't even have a phone. You just have like a rotary phone or something
Yeah.
at your house, but you're not at all. You're very much engaged and you have an online presence. And so I think you'd be the perfect person to ask, where do you see AI's role? Because that's what everybody is talking about it. And the majority of the time it's all sunshine and roses, and it's not,
Yeah.
but everything has its place, and AI inevitably is going to have its place. It has its place now. Where do you see AI's role fitting into the day-to-day life of an originator?
Look, the way that I'll be utilizing it, and I'm at Rate's an early adopter of everything. We're always building our own tech. I think that AI is incredibly useful in automating tedious tasks. I don't think that AI should be calling your clients. I don't think that AI should be an assistant that doesn't take bathroom breaks. I think that AI as a tool on the back end is amazing, but I think that customers deserve real people because, look, the most powerful calls I have with clients, it's the pause that they take when they're saying something.
Yeah.
It's listening to them telling me what they're looking for, but hearing something like they say something negative about the neighborhood 3 times.
Yeah.
Is AI going to pick up on that and be like, hey, where do you actually dream of living?
Right.
Let's game plan that.
Right.
What do you do for a living? Can we move to a different city? Let's think big.
Right.
But it'll be, I think it's going to be interesting to see. I think a lot of the lenders that do trigger leads will definitely be trying to deceive consumers. And I look forward to taking them down. I had to. Someone had to do it. I'm so sick of trigger leads.
No, that's an excellent answer. Jennifer, thank you for your time, and we'll be in touch soon.
Sounds good.